Hello, this is Pastor Brian Anderson, and we are in Matthew chapter 16 and 17 in our devotion today. At the very end of chapter 16 and verse 28, Jesus makes these curious words. Truly I say to you, there are some of those who are standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Now, what in the world was Jesus talking about? Well, chapter 17 opens up with the story of the transfiguration of Jesus Christ. It says that his face shone like the sun and his garments became as white as light. And so I think it's likely that what Jesus meant in Matthew 16:28 about some who are standing here not tasting death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom, I think he was referring to the transfiguration just a few days later. And the transfiguration is sort of a preview of the second coming of Christ, in which Jesus returns in his glory, face shining like the sun, garments as white as light. Now, immediately after Jesus is transfigured, Peter is there, and Peter makes a suggestion. He says, why don't we build 3 tabernacles? We'll build one for Moses, one for Elijah, and one for Jesus, because Moses and Elijah had appeared with Jesus on the mount when Jesus was transfigured before them. So we'll make one tabernacle for all 3 of them. The problem with that is that as Peter is even speaking, God the Father speaks out of heaven, and he says, "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." So God was not too impressed with Peter's suggestion to make 3 tabernacles, because in effect what that does is put Jesus on an equal plane with Moses and Elijah. Now, God's suggestion, not his suggestion, but his command, that they listen to Jesus because he was his beloved Son in whom he's well pleased, that is a bit startling, because Moses had written the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Moses represents the law. Elijah was a prophet. He represents the writings of all of the prophets. So Moses and Elijah represent the law and the prophets of the Old Testament. But still, God the Father says, listen to my Son. Listen to Jesus. And there's something important in all of that for us. We, as Christians who live under the new covenant, must give precedence to the words and teaching of Jesus Christ. Now, the law of Moses is Scripture. The prophets are Scripture, but they particularly apply to people living under that covenant, the Old Covenant. We, on the other hand, live under the New Covenant. And in the book of Hebrews, it says, when there is a change of covenant, there's also going to be a change of law. So, I want you just to consider the startling words of Jesus Christ and how epically important they happen to be. I think that we ought to be like Mary in the New Testament, who just sat at the feet of Jesus, drinking in his words. Our whole New Testament, in a sense, are the words of Jesus Christ. We have the very words of Jesus in the Gospels, and then we have his words through his apostles written for the rest of the New Testament scriptures. So my encouragement to you is drink deeply of the words of Jesus Christ. Take in the teaching and the doctrine of the New Testament especially. Not that the Old Testament's not important, it is, but we as New Testament Christians should give precedence to the teaching that we have under the New Covenant, the New Testament scriptures. So may God richly bless you.